In the cold darkness of space, far from the bright stars of the Coalition worlds, a small scout ship floated like a silent ghost. The ship belonged to the Coalition of Civilized Species, a group of aliens who ruled the galaxy with strict rules and fancy technology. They thought they knew everything. But today, something new was coming. Captain Vexlar stood on the bridge. He was a Clythar, tall and thin like a bug, with shiny green skin and long arms that moved with grace. His eyes, big and black, stared at the screens. He felt bored. This patrol was the same as always. The dead zone was a place no one went. It was forbidden because long ago, a wild species called humans lived there. But humans were gone. They destroyed their own world in big wars. Everyone said so. No one had seen a human in 400 years. "Captain," said a young officer named Zira. She was a furry creature from the planet Feeler, with soft ears and quick hands. "The sensors show nothing. Just empty space." Vexlar nodded. "Good. Keep watch. We turn back soon." The ship drifted closer to the edge of the dead zone. Stars looked dim here, like they were hiding. The crew talked in low voices. Some joked about old stories. Tales of humans, strong, angry beings from a death world called Earth. They said humans could survive anything. But that was just myth. The Coalition had records. Earth was a dead rock now, covered in glass from nuclear fires. Suddenly, a beep filled the bridge. Then another. Alarms started to scream. Red lights flashed. The crew jumped up. "What is that?" Vexlar shouted. He ran to his console. His long fingers tapped buttons fast. Zira checked her screen. "A signal, Captain. Coming from deep in the zone. It's weak, but clear." Repeating over and over. Vexlar listened. The signal was a voice, old and strange. It spoke in words the computer translated. "This is Earth. If you hear this, run." The crew went quiet. Then, one laughed. "Earth? That's impossible. Humans are extinct." Another crew member, a scaled lizard-like alien named Torque, shook his head. "Must be an echo from the past. Old radio waves bouncing around." But Vexlar felt a chill. His antennae twitched. "Play it again." The voice came back. "This is Earth. If you hear this, run." It did not sound like an echo. It sounded alive. Fresh. Like someone was sending it right now. "Trace it," Vexlar ordered. "Find where it's from." The ship hummed as engines woke up. It moved forward, into the dead zone. The stars grew even thinner. Space felt heavier, like it was watching them. Zira worked fast. "Captain, the signal is strong. Not old at all. It's live. From a planet ahead." Vexlar's eyes widened. "A planet? Show me." The screen lit up. There it was, a blue and green world, spinning slow. Not dead. Lights twinkled on the dark side. Cities? But Earth was supposed to be ruined. "How can this be?" whispered Torque. "The records say humans killed their world." The ship shook a little. Sensors beeped again. "Unknown energy spike," Zira said. Her voice shook. Vexlar leaned closer. "Scan for life." The scan started. Numbers flew across the screen. Then, a shadow moved on the radar. Big. Fast. "What was that?" Vexlar asked. Before anyone could answer, the shadow came back. It was a ship, huge, bigger than theirs. It looked rough, made from metal scraps and old parts. No smooth lines like Coalition ships. This one had sharp edges, big engines, and what looked like weapons everywhere. The crew stared. "It's not one of ours," Torque said. Alarms screamed louder. "Incoming hail," Zira yelled. A voice crackled through the speakers. It was deep and rough, not smooth like alien voices. It spoke in perfect Coalition language. You found the signal. Good. Now leave. This is your only warning. Vexlar felt his heart race. Who are you? The voice laughed, cold and low. We are the ones you forgot. The children of Earth. We survived. Humans. Alive. The word hung in the air like a storm. The big ship turned. Its lights glowed red. Weapons powered up with a hum that shook the scout ship. Shields up! Vexlar shouted. But it was too late. A beam shot out, bright and hot. The shields flickered and died in one hit. Sparks flew on the bridge. Smoke filled the air. Evade! Vexlar yelled. The ship twisted, but the big vessel followed easy. The human voice spoke again. Tell your leaders. We remember what you did. The galaxy will learn why you feared us. Panic spread. Crew ran to stations. But the big ship fired again. The scout ship rocked hard. Systems failed. Lights went out. In the dark, Vexlar grabbed the comms. Send message to base. Humans, alive, attacking. The last shot came. The ship exploded in a flash of fire and metal. Silence returned to space. But the signal kept going. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. Far away, on Coalition worlds, leaders would soon hear. The arrival had begun. Not of a ship, but of a truth. Humans were back. And they brought revenge. The galaxy was not ready. The scout ship's bridge turned red in an instant. Alarms wailed like wounded animals. Lights flashed fast, painting every face in sharp crimson. Captain Vexlar's graceful hands froze above the controls. His black eyes widened as the main screen filled with jagged waveforms. Silence those alarms, he barked. Zira's furry fingers danced across her panel. The screaming stopped, but the warning lights kept pulsing. The signal kept coming, slow, steady, unstoppable. Play it, Vexlar ordered. His voice sounded thinner than usual. The speakers crackled. A human voice filled the bridge. Rough. Tired. Angry. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. The words hung in the air. No one moved. Even Torque, the big lizard who always had a joke ready, stayed quiet. Zira tilted her head. It's an old galactic standard. The language humans used before everything. Before they burned their world, Torque muttered. Vexlar stepped closer to the screen. Replay. Slower. The voice came again, each word clear and heavy. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. It wasn't a recording from centuries ago. There was breath between the words. A small pause. A living person had spoken them. Recently. Impossible, whispered one of the younger crew members, a delicate wing being named Lyra. Her wings trembled. The archives say Earth is a graveyard. No atmosphere. No life. Just radiation and ruins. Then explain this, Vexlar said. He pointed at the signal strength meter. It was rising. Not falling. Rising. Zira's ears flattened. Captain, the source is moving closer. The signal is directional. It's aimed right at us. The crew looked at each other. No one laughed now. Torque broke the silence. Maybe it's a trap. Some pirate beacon using old human words to scare people away. Vexlar considered it. Pirates did strange things. But pirates did not speak with that kind of cold weight. That voice carried 400 years of silence. Full sensor sweep, he ordered. Passive only. No active pings. We don't want to shout that we're here. The ship's eyes opened wider. Long-range scanners stretched into the darkness. Data streamed in. At first, nothing. Empty space. Cold dust. dead asteroids. Then something appeared on the edge of the scan. A faint heat signature. Small at first. Growing. Contact, Zara said. Her voice cracked. Bearing 047. Distance, dropping fast. Vexlar leaned in. Magnify. The screen zoomed. A shape formed in the black. Not a clean Coalition vessel with smooth curves and glowing blue engines. This was ugly. Brutal. A jagged mass of metal plates welded together. Tubes and pipes snaked across its hull like veins. Thrusters burned dirty orange, not the clean white of civilized ships. Gun ports, dozens of them, pointed in every direction. It looked angry. That's no pirate, Lyra whispered. That's military. But not ours. The unknown ship did not hail them. It simply turned. Slow. Deliberate. Its bow faced the scout ship like a predator staring at prey. Vexlar felt his mandibles click nervously. Shields to full. Weapons hot, but do not fire unless fired upon. Torque growled. Captain, that thing is twice our size. Maybe 3 times. If it shoots, then we die fast, Vexlar cut in. But we die with answers. The human voice returned. This time it came straight through their comms. No request. No polite channel open. Just intrusion. You should not be here. Every crew member flinched. The voice was closer now. Clearer. It carried exhaustion, like someone who had waited too long. Vexlar straightened. He was Coalition elite. He would not show fear. This is Captain Vexlar of the Coalition scout vessel Harmony's Edge. Identify yourself. A long pause. Then laughter. Low. Dry. Like stones grinding together. Identify. You already know who we are. You just forgot how to be afraid of us. Zara's first stood on end. Captain, the signal strength just jumped. They're locking targeting arrays on us. Red crosshairs appeared on the main screen. Locked. Ready. Vexlar's mind raced. Protocol said retreat. Report. Let the fleet handle it. But curiosity, the same curiosity that killed old explorers, held him. Why the warning? He asked the voice. If you are human, why tell us to run? Another pause. Longer. Because we are tired, the voice answered. Tired of waiting. Tired of watching. Tired of being called extinct while the galaxy danced on our graves. But mostly, because the next ones who come won't get a warning. The ugly ship drifted closer. No fancy maneuvers. Just straight-line menace. Torque hissed. Shields at maximum. They're charging something big. Vexlar looked at his crew. Young faces. Scared faces. They trusted him. Reverse engines, he said quietly. Full burn. Get us out. The scout ship's thrusters roared. It spun and accelerated away from the monster in the dark. But the human ship did not chase. It simply watched. Then the voice spoke one last time. Soft. Almost sad. Tell your council. Tell your fleets. Tell every pretty species that thought we were finished. A short silence. The children of Earth have finished counting scars. Now we start collecting debts. The signal cut off. The ugly ship turned away. Vanished into the black as fast as it appeared. Silence returned to the bridge. Zara broke it first. Captain. I recorded everything. The voice. The ship profile. The threat. Vexlar nodded slowly. His antennae drooped. Send burst transmission to Coalition Command. Priority black. Encrypt it triple. He looked at the empty screen where the human ship had been. And add one more line, he said. Tell them, the signal was real. The humans are alive. And they are coming. Far behind them, in the darkness of the dead zone, faint lights flickered on a blue-green world. Engines deep underground rumbled awake. Old silos opened. Ships long hidden stirred. The galaxy had forgotten humanity. Humanity had not forgotten the galaxy. And now the count had begun. The bridge lights returned to normal white after the red alarm glow. The sudden silence felt heavier than the screaming. Captain Vexlar stood very still, staring at the spot on the screen where the ugly human ship had vanished. His long antennae drooped slightly. Zero was the first to speak. Her voice came out small. "Captain, did that really just happen?" Before Vexlar could answer, Torque let out a loud, barking laugh. It echoed off the metal walls. "Ha! A human ghost ship playing tricks." The big lizard slapped his scaled thigh. "They send one creepy voice message and we all jump like hatchlings at thunder." Lyra's wings fluttered nervously, but even she managed a weak smile. "It has to be a glitch. Or a very good fake. Earth is gone. Everyone knows that." More crew members joined in. Nervous laughter spread like fire through dry grass. It was easier than fear. One engineer, a squat, four-armed being named Krell, wiped sweat from his brow plates. 400 cycles ago their own bombs turned their planet into glass. No plants. No air. Nothing left but melted cities and bones. How can anyone broadcast from a graveyard? Exactly. Torque boomed. Someone found an old human probe or satellite. Rigged it to repeat that silly message. Probably to scare away scavengers looking for scrap. Another crew member, a tall, feathered creature from the Aviara cluster, nodded fast. "I've seen pirate tricks like this. They use ancient recordings, add some scary words, and hope small ships like ours run away so they can loot us later." The laughter grew louder. It pushed the cold feeling away. Made the dark outside the viewports seem less empty. Vexlar listened to his crew. He wanted to join them. Wanted to believe it was nothing. But something stuck in his mind like a thorn. The voice had not sounded like a recording. It had sounded human. Tired. Real. He raised one graceful hand. The laughter died slowly. "Enough," he said quietly. They looked at him. Waiting. "Zira," Vexlar continued, "pull up the Coalition historical file on Earth. Full record. No summaries." Zira hesitated, then tapped her console. A hologram bloomed in the center of the bridge. Blue light washed over every face. Images appeared. Old images. A beautiful blue world spinning in space. White clouds. Green lands. Blue oceans. Then, flashes. Mushroom clouds rising like angry gods. Cities burning. Continents glowing red from orbital strikes. The humans had fought each other until nothing green remained. Final scan data from 400 cycles ago, surface temperature average 180 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere toxic. Radiation levels lethal. No detectable life signs. The file ended with the official Coalition statement. Species designation, human. Status, extinct. Homeworld, Earth. Cause, self-inflicted annihilation. Recommendation, dead zone classification permanent. No salvage. No contact. No curiosity. The hologram faded. Silence again. Torque crossed his thick arms. "See? Dead. Gone. Dust." Vexlar turned to Zira. "Now show me the signal we just received." Waveform analysis. Age estimate. Zira worked quickly. New data appeared. The repeating message, "This is Earth. If you hear this, run." Analysis scrolled past. Voice stress markers, present. Breath patterns, irregular, living. Transmission medium, tight beam directional laser, modulated recently. Power signature, modern fusion spike, not ancient reactor decay. Estimated broadcast time, less than 30 standard hours ago. Zira's ears flattened completely. It's fresh, Captain. Not old. Not a loop from centuries past. The laughter was gone now. Krell spoke softly. Then where's the power coming from? If Earth is a dead rock. Vexlar looked out the viewport. The dead zone stretched ahead, black, starless, endless. Maybe it isn't dead anymore, he said. Torque snorted, but the sound lacked force. You're saying humans rebuilt their planet? In secret? While we all thought they were extinct. I'm saying we don't know, Vexlar replied. And not knowing is dangerous. He walked to the command chair and sat slowly. His mind raced through protocols. Report it. Let the admirals decide. Stay safe. But another thought crept in. What if the humans had been watching? Waiting? Hiding while the galaxy moved on? What if that ugly ship was not the only one? He looked at his crew. Scared eyes. Shaking hands. They wanted comfort. They wanted to believe the old files. Vexlar could give them that. Or he could give them truth. Set course deeper into the zone, he ordered. Slow and careful. We follow the signal source. Torque's jaw dropped. Captain. We need proof, Vexlar cut in. One clear scan. One image. Then we run home and let the fleet deal with it. Zira swallowed. And if it's really them? Vexlar met her eyes. Then we become the first civilized beings in 400 cycles to speak to a living human. He paused. Or the first to die trying. The scout ship's engines hummed low. It crept forward into the forbidden dark. Behind them, the last echo of laughter had died completely. Ahead, something waited. Something that remembered every betrayal. Every treaty broken. Every world that had turned its back while Earth screamed. The signal kept repeating. Soft now. Almost gentle. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. But the scout ship did not run. Not yet. Deep inside the bridge, a small red light blinked on Zira's console. Unnoticed. Incoming transmission. Source, unknown. Content, one word. Closer. Captain Vexlar stared at the empty screen where the human ship had disappeared. The crew still waited for him to laugh it off, to call it a trick, to turn the ship around. But he did not. Trace the signal, he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Zira blinked. Captain, you mean deeper in? After that threat? Yes. Vexlar turned to face them all. We came here to patrol. We found something impossible. We do not run from impossible things. We bring proof back to command. One clean scan. One image of that world. Then we leave. Torque opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. The big lizard looked uneasy. Even he felt the shift in the air. Engines ahead slow, Vexlar continued. Passive sensors only. No emissions. We become a ghost. The scout ship's thrusters whispered to life. Gentle blue fire pushed them forward. The stars outside the viewports began to thin. Not fewer, just stretched. Like someone had pulled the galaxy apart and left gaps. Black voids between pinpricks of light grew wider. Deeper. Something felt wrong. Not alarms. Not flashing warnings. Just wrong. The kind of wrong that makes skin crawl even when nothing moves. Krell, the four-armed engineer, rubbed his lower hands together. Gravity readings are strange. Tiny ripples. Like space is breathing. Keep monitoring, Vexlar said. The ship drifted on. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. No one spoke much. They watched the screens. Watched the darkness. Then the sensors flickered. Just once. A tiny stutter. All displays blinked off for half a heartbeat, then came back. Zira frowned. Power surge? No, Krell answered. Not from us. Another flicker. Longer this time. The main sensor grid wavered like heat over sand. Lyra's wings folded tight against her back. Captain. I'm picking up interference. Not natural. It's patterned. Like someone is, watching our scans and pushing back. Vexlar's antennae rose. Can you isolate it? Zira tried. Her fingers flew. Trying, but it's everywhere. It's in the comms bands. In the visual spectrum. Even the infrared is bending. The viewport dimmed for a second. Not a malfunction. The stars themselves seemed to flicker. As if something massive had passed between them and the light. Torque growled low. We're being jammed. Subtly. They don't want us seeing clearly. Vexlar leaned forward. Increase magnification on the signal source. Maximum zoom. Filter out the noise. The screen struggled. Pixels fought to form a picture. Then, slowly, a world appeared. Blue. Green. Clouds. Continents that looked familiar from the old files, but changed. Patches of green where there should have been glass deserts. Lights on the night side. Not random. Organized. Cities. Real cities. Zira's voice shook. Atmosphere readings, breathable. Oxygen-nitrogen mix. Radiation, almost background normal. How? The image sharpened for one perfect second. Then it shattered. Every screen on the bridge went white. A high whine filled the air, short, sharp, painful. Crew members clutched their heads. The whine stopped as fast as it started. When the screens cleared, the planet was gone. Replaced by static. Then a single word in block letters, Coalition Standard. Stop. The word hung there. Steady. Unblinking. Torque snarled. They're toying with us. Vexlar felt cold fingers walk down his spine. They are warning us. Again. He stood. Walked to the viewport. Stared into the thinning stars. Helm, he said quietly, maintain course. But prepare emergency jump coordinates back to Coalition space. Full readiness. Zira whispered, Captain, we're almost at the signal's origin point. Less than 10 minutes at current speed. I know. He did not look away from the dark. The ship pushed forward. Engines hummed. The rawness grew thicker. Air felt heavy. Breathing felt like effort. Then the sensors flickered again. This time, not random. A shape appeared on the edge of the scan. Not the ugly warship from before. Something else. Smaller. Sleek. Fast. It darted in, then out, like a fish in deep water. Contact. Zira cried. Multiple small signatures. They're surrounding us. The bridge lights dimmed. Emergency red returned without alarms. Power draw spiked. Krell shouted, they're draining our grid. Subspace taps, stealing energy without touching us. Vexlar's mandibles clicked. Shields. Full power. Divert everything non-essential. The ship shuddered as shields snapped up. Blue energy field shimmered around the hull. The small shapes circled closer. Dozens now. Tiny drones? Fighters? Too fast to tell. They moved in perfect formation. No wasted motion. Like predators that had hunted together for centuries. One darted in. Fired a thin beam. Not to destroy. To probe. It touched the shield. The shield glowed bright, then dimmed in that spot. Like it had been tasted. Another beam. Another spot. They were testing. Learning. Lyra's voice cracked. Captain. I'm reading old Coalition transponder codes on some of them. Modified. But the signatures, they're ours. From ships lost centuries ago. Vexlar closed his eyes for 1 second. Salvage. They had taken Coalition wrecks. Rebuilt them. Improved them. Turned the galaxy's trash into their weapons. The word on the screen changed. Last chance. Vexlar opened his eyes. Helm, he said. Full reverse. Now. The ship's engines roared. Thrusters burned hard. The scout vessel twisted, fighting momentum, trying to flee the trap it had sailed into. But the small ships matched every move. Perfectly. Instantly. Then the big ugly warship appeared again. Not charging. Just there. Filling half the sky. Weapons ports open. Glowing. The voice returned. Calm. Almost bored. You were told to run. A single turret tracked them. Vexlar looked at his crew. Faces pale. Eyes wide. He reached for the comm panel. This is Captain Vexlar, he transmitted. Wide band. No encryption. We are leaving. We mean no harm. We only wanted answers. Silence. Then the voice answered. Soft. Final. Answers come with a price. You chose to pay it. The turret brightened. The scout ship twisted one last time. Too late. A beam lanced out. Clean. Precise. It did not explode the ship. It carved. A long, surgical cut along the hull. Air vented in white clouds. Lights flickered and died section by section. Alarms finally screamed, for real this time. Vexlar grabbed the arm of his chair as gravity failed for a heartbeat. The voice spoke once more. Tell them we are patient. But not forever. The beam stopped. The scout ship hung, wounded, leaking air and power. The human ships vanished again. Like smoke. Zira crawled to her console. Blood trickled from her ear. Captain, emergency beacon is away. Command will know. Vexlar nodded slowly. He looked out at the thinning stars. Somewhere out there, a blue-green world turned. And on that world, something old and angry had just decided the galaxy had waited long enough. The scout ship drifted in stunned quiet after the surgical cut along its hull. Emergency bulkheads had slammed shut, sealing off the breached sections. Air recyclers hissed loudly in the sudden hush. Red emergency lights bathed every face in blood color. Sparks still popped from damaged panels. Captain Vexlar gripped the arms of his command chair so hard his chitin creaked. He forced his voice steady. Damage report. Krell's 4 arms moved in frantic rhythm across his console. Hull breach sealed. We lost 20% atmosphere in sections 3 through 5. Power rerouted. Engines at 60%. Weapons offline. Shields, flickering. We can limp, but not fight. Torque stared at the dark viewport. They could have finished us. Why didn't they? Because they want us to carry the message, Vexlar answered. They want the galaxy to know. Zira sat hunched over her station. Her furry ears were pressed flat against her skull. She had not spoken since the beam hit. Now she lifted her head slowly. Captain, her whisper barely carried over the hiss of air vents. Vexlar turned. Speak. Zira swallowed. Her voice came out small, trembling. The signal, the one that started all this. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. She paused. Looked at the waveform still frozen on her secondary screen. It's not old. The words landed like stones in deep water. Torque snorted, but the sound had no strength. We already knew it was fresh. You said 30 hours. Zira shook her head. No. Not 30 hours. Not even 30 minutes. She tapped a key. The waveform expanded. Tiny spikes danced across it, irregular, human. Breath. Heartbeat echoes picked up by ultrasensitive modulation. "It's live," she whispered. "Right now. Being sent at this exact moment. From wherever that world is, someone is speaking these words again and again. Breathing them. Right now." Silence swallowed the bridge. Lyra's wings quivered. "But, how? If they just cut us open and left, why keep broadcasting?" Vexlar felt something cold coil in his chest. Not fear exactly. Recognition. "Because it's not a warning anymore," he said slowly. "It's an invitation." He stood. Walked to Zira's station. Looked down at the live feed. The signal pulsed. Steady. Patient. Each repetition carried the same rough human voice. The same tired anger. The same small catch in the throat before the final word. Run. But now that they listened closer, they heard something else beneath it. A second layer. Faint. Buried in the harmonics. Zira isolated it. Amplified. A heartbeat. Not mechanical. Organic. Strong. Steady. Human. Then another. Faster. Excited. Then more. A chorus of them. Hundreds. Thousands. Layered under the words like a drumbeat from deep inside the planet. "They're not just sending a message," Zira breathed. "They're sending proof. We're listening to them live. All of them." Krell's lower hands froze. "Population estimate?" Zira ran the numbers. Her eyes widened. "Based on audio layering and signal strength, at least several million. Maybe more. And they're all in one place. Listening. Waiting." Torque laughed once, harsh, disbelieving. "A whole species. Hiding. For 400 cycles. And now they decide to say hello by carving our ship." Vexlar did not answer right away. He stared at the waveform. Watched the live heartbeat dance. "They waited until we came looking," he said at last. "Until someone crossed the line. Until the galaxy forgot to be afraid." He turned to the viewport. The thinning stars looked thinner still. Like the universe itself was pulling away. "Zira," he said. "Can you send them anything? A reply?" She hesitated. "We're damaged. Transmitter is weak. But, yes." Short burst. Text only. No voice. Vexlar thought for a long moment. Then he spoke the words slowly. "Send this. This is Captain Vexlar of the Coalition Scout Harmony's Edge. We hear you. We see your world. We know you live. What do you want?" Zira typed. Fingers shaking. Hit transmit. The signal went out, tiny, fragile, into the dark. They waited. Seconds stretched. Then the live broadcast changed. The repeating message stopped. Silence. Absolute. Every crew member held their breath. Then a new voice answered. Not recorded. Not layered. Direct. Clear. Coming straight through their damaged comm array like it had always belonged there. A woman's voice this time. Older. Worn smooth by time and rage. "You asked what we want." A pause. Long enough to feel the weight of centuries. "We want the galaxy to remember." Another pause. "We want the names of every species that turned away when our world burned. Every ambassador who voted to erase our history. Every archive that called us extinct while we rebuilt underground." Her voice hardened. "We want apologies written in the languages of the dead. We want monuments on every coalition world to the children who starved while your fleets looked the other way." She laughed once, short, bitter. "But mostly, we want you to understand something simple." The heartbeat underneath surged. Millions of them. Synchronized now. One massive pulse. You did not kill us. You only made us patient. The voice softened. Almost gentle. So run, little captain. Run home. Tell your pretty council the truth. Tell them the last human signal was never a cry for help. It was a countdown. The connection snapped shut. The repeating message returned. But different now. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. The heartbeat underneath no longer hid. It thundered. Clear. Angry. Alive. Vexlar looked at his crew. Faces pale. Eyes wide with something new, not just fear, but awe. Helm, he said quietly. Best possible speed out of the zone. Jump as soon as we clear the interference. The ship turned. Wounded engines groaned. Thrusters flared. Behind them, the blue-green world spun on. Underground cities glowed brighter. Silos opened wider. Engines long silent roared awake. Millions of hearts beat as one. The countdown had always been running. Now the galaxy would hear it too. And it was almost over. Captain Vexlar felt the bridge tilt under his feet, even though the artificial gravity held steady. The word live from Zira's whisper echoed inside his skull like a hammer strike. His black eyes locked on the waveform display. The heartbeat pulses beneath the human voice were unmistakable now, strong, rhythmic, countless. Live. Impossible. 400 cycles. 400 cycles of official records, sealed archives, and coalition lectures declaring humanity extinct. Self-destroyed. Forgotten. Erased. The galaxy had moved on without them. Built shining cities on other worlds. Signed treaties. Expanded. Thrived. And now this. Vexlar's mandibles clicked once, sharp, involuntary. He forced his voice flat. Full scan. Everything we have left. Visual, thermal, atmospheric, biosigns. No filters. No safety limits. Give me the truth. Zira nodded fast. Her fingers trembled only a little as she diverted what remained of the ship's power. The damaged scout vessel groaned as sensor arrays extended like wounded limbs. Beams of light stabbed out into the thinning dark, hungry for data. The main screen flickered. Struggled. Then cleared. A planet swam into view. Not the scorched, glassed corpse from the history files. This world turned slowly, peacefully. Blue oceans shimmered under thin white clouds. Green continents sprawled wide, lush, alive, spreading. Mountain ranges wore snow caps that caught starlight. Rivers cut silver paths through forests thick enough to hide armies. And lights. Not the random glow of dying reactors or ancient ruins. Deliberate lights. Cities outlined in steady gold and white. Strings of illumination along what looked like highways. Clusters on islands. Patterns that spoke of planning, repair, rebirth. The night side faced them now. The dark hemisphere should have been black. Instead it sparkled. Millions of pinpricks. Not fires. Not explosions. Electric lights. Street grids. Towers. Ports. A living heartbeat of civilization. Torque let out a low hiss. That's impossible. The radiation should have sterilized the surface for millennia. Krell's 4 arms worked in unison, cross-checking readings. Atmosphere composition, 78% nitrogen, 21 oxygen, trace argon and carbon dioxide. Breathable. Toxin levels negligible. Radiation background, almost Earth normal. How did they scrub the fallout? How did they regrow the biosphere? Lyra's wings opened halfway in wonder. Look at the thermal bands. Heat signatures everywhere. Not just cities. Villages. Farms. Geothermal vents active. Ocean currents stabilized. They terraformed their own death world back to life. Vexlar stepped closer to the screen. The magnification climbed. Details sharpened. A massive structure near the equator caught his eye. Circular. Enormous. Like a ring of black metal rising from the sea. Energy readings spiked around it, fusion, antimatter, something stranger. Ships moved in and out of its shadow. Not the ugly patchwork warship they had seen earlier. These were sleek. Purposeful. Some looked rebuilt from Coalition hulks. Others looked entirely new. Forged from rage and ingenuity. The scan deepened. Biosigns flooded in. Human. Millions. Tens of millions. Concentrated in the lit zones, but spreading. Movement patterns showed agriculture. Industry. Training grounds. Launch facilities. They were not hiding in bunkers anymore. They were thriving. Zira's voice cracked. Captain, the signal source is one of the largest population centers. A city on the coast. They're broadcasting from the middle of it. Open air. No shielding. Like they want us to hear. Vexlar's antennae drooped. They do want us to hear. They built this signal to reach across the zone. To call us in. He turned away from the screen. Looked at his crew. Faces lit by the glowing planet. Shock. Fear. Awe. Curiosity. Even Torque looked smaller now. The big lizard stared at the living world like it might reach out and touch him. What do we do? Lyra asked softly. Vexlar had no easy answer. Protocol screamed retreat. Report. Let the admirals decide. But the planet on the screen refused to be ignored. It breathed. It shone. It remembered. He walked back to the command chair. Sat slowly. Record everything, he ordered. Every scan line. Every light pattern. Every heartbeat in that signal. Triple encrypt the data burst. Priority Omega. Send it to Coalition High Command the moment we clear the interference. He paused. And add my personal log. He activated the private recorder. His voice stayed level. This is Captain Vexlar. We have visual confirmation. Earth is not dead. Humanity is not extinct. They have rebuilt. They have grown. They have waited. The signal is no ghost. It is a declaration. He hesitated. Then added the words that would change everything. They are no longer asking for help. They are telling us they no longer need it. He cut the recording. The ship's engines hummed low, holding position just outside optimal scanning range. The wounded hull creaked. Air recyclers labored. Zira looked up. Captain, new activity on the surface. Energy spike at the equatorial ring structure. Something is launching. The screen zoomed. A sleek shape rose from the ring. Fast. Clean. No dirty exhaust. Pure white drive flare. It climbed out of atmosphere in seconds, turned, and accelerated straight toward them. Not aggressive. Not yet. Just, coming. The human voice returned. The same woman. Calm. Certain. You saw. Good. Now you know. A short silence. We will not chase you today. We have waited 400 cycles. A few more days will not matter. Her tone shifted. Harder. But tell your council this, the next fleet that enters the dead zone will not receive warnings. It will receive judgment. The connection closed. The approaching ship slowed. Stopped at extreme weapons range. Waited. Watching. Vexlar met the eyes of his crew one by one. Helm, he said. Emergency jump. Now. Maximum distance. Get us home. Thrusters flared. Space folded around them. The scout ship vanished in a ripple of distorted light. Behind it, the blue-green world continued turning. Lights burned brighter. Hearts beat stronger. And somewhere in a rebuilt city by the sea, millions of humans looked up at the stars. They no longer feared the galaxy. The galaxy would soon learn to fear them. The scout ship Harmony's edge hung in the thinning void like a wounded animal. Engines idled low, trying to stay quiet. Every crew member stared at the glowing blue-green planet on the main screen. Earth. Alive. Breathing. Watching them back. Captain Vexlar had just given the order to prepare for emergency jump when it happened. The ship shook. Not a gentle tremor. A violent jolt, like an invisible hand had grabbed the hull and twisted. Metal groaned. Loose panels rattled. Crew members stumbled, grabbing consoles to stay upright. What was that? Torque barked, already reaching for the weapons panel even though the guns were dead. Zira's ears shot straight up. Gravitational anomaly. Something massive just passed us, close. Too close. Warning lights exploded across every station. Red. Urgent. Screaming. Unknown vessel detected. The words flashed in block letters. No silhouette. No clear outline. Just a massive shadow that had swept over them faster than sensors could track. It left behind a ripple in space itself, distorted light, warped stars, a wake of cold energy that made the hull creak. Vexlar's antennae whipped forward. Visuals. Now. The external cameras struggled. The feed stuttered, fought interference. Then one camera caught it for half a second before the image broke into static. A shape. Enormous. Longer than any Coalition battlecruiser. Not smooth curves or elegant lines. Brutal geometry. Jagged spines along the spine like a predator's back. Hull plates the color of old blood and scorched iron. No running lights. No identification beacons. Just darkness moving against darkness. It had passed so fast the eye could barely register it. But the shadow lingered, a chill that seeped through the hull and into bones. Krell's 4 hands flew across damage controls. No impact. No weapons fire. But it brushed our gravity well. We're tumbling slightly. Compensating. The ship righted itself with a groan. Thrusters fired in short bursts. Lyra pointed at her screen. It's circling back. Slow this time. Deliberate. The shadow returned. Slower. Larger in the viewport. Filling half the sky now. No engines visible, just a silent glide, defying physics. Whatever propelled it did not burn fuel or glow. It simply moved. Alarms changed pitch. Higher. Sharper. Multiple locks detected. Dozens of targeting beams painted the scout ship in invisible light. Not firing. Just watching. Measuring. Torque snarled. They could end us in one shot. Why play? Because they want us to feel small, Vexlar said quietly. His voice carried no anger. Only cold understanding. The massive vessel stopped. Hung motionless relative to them. Close enough that details sharpened on the damaged cameras. Hull scars. Thousands of them. Old burns from plasma, laser cuts, missile impacts. Patches of mismatched armor, some looked like stolen Coalition plating, others like asteroid mined or hammered into shape. Antenna arrays twisted into strange shapes. Gun ports yawned open, barrels too large for any known design. And letters. Painted in stark white across the bow, in Coalition standards so everyone could read. We remember. The words were huge. Simple. Final. Zira's whisper cut through the tension. Captain, new transmission. Coming from that ship. Audio only. Vexlar nodded once. Play it. The speakers crackled. A man's voice this time. Deep. Rough. Like gravel under boots. No accent. Perfect Coalition standard. But the tone carried something older than language, exhaustion mixed with iron. You scanned our world. You saw the lights. You heard the hearts. Good. That saves time. A short pause. The shadow ship did not move. We did not come to destroy you. Not today. We came to be seen. Another pause. Longer. For 400 cycles your kind wrote us out of existence. Called us monsters who killed themselves. Turned our grave into a forbidden zone so no one would ask questions. So no one would look too close. The voice hardened. But we looked back. We watched your fleets pass by. We watched your cities rise on other stars. We watched you forget. A low chuckle. Cold. Now it is your turn to remember. The massive ship rotated slowly. Not threatening. Showing. One flank came into clear view. Rows of launch tubes. Missile bays. Railgun batteries. But also something else, enormous hangar doors cracked open. Inside, shapes moved. Smaller ships. Fighters. Transports. Ready. Not for attack. For departure. The voice continued. We rebuilt in silence. We grew in the dark. We learned from every mistake your galaxy made. And we waited for someone to come looking. The shadow ship edged closer. Close enough that the scout's lights reflected off its scarred hull. You are the first. You will not be the last. Vexlar felt his mandibles tighten. What do you want from us? The answer came fast. No hesitation. Carry this truth home. Tell your council the dead zone is no longer dead. Tell them Earth has finished mourning. Tell them the children they abandoned have grown teeth. A final pause. And tell them this, the next time a coalition ship crosses our line, it will not leave with a warning carved in its hull. It will leave in pieces. The transmission cut. The massive ship held position one heartbeat longer. Then it moved. Not away. Toward them. Slow. Inevitable. Warning lights screamed louder. Collision proximity. Torque roared, jump. Now. Vexlar's hand slammed the emergency override. All power to jump drive. Coordinates anywhere but here. The scout ship's remaining engines howled. Space folded around them in a desperate twist. Reality bent. The massive shadow ship filled the viewport, then vanished as the jump tore them away. They emerged light years distant. Stars normal again. No thinning voids. No shadows. The bridge was silent except for labored breathing and dying alarms. Zira checked her console. Jump successful. We're clear. Barely. Vexlar stared at the empty viewport. The afterimage of We Remember still burned in his mind. He looked at his crew. Shaken. Alive. Changed. Prepare the full data packet, he said. Everything. Scans. Audio. Video. The words on that hull. He paused. And add one more line to my report. His voice dropped low. Humanity never died. They waited. And now they are coming out of the dark. Far behind them, in the reborn silence of the dead zone, the massive ship turned back toward its blue-green home. Lights on the surface burned brighter. Engines deep underground rumbled. Millions waited. Patient. Ready. The first witness had escaped. The galaxy would soon have many more. The scout ship Harmony's edge limped through the thinning edge of the dead zone, engines straining after the emergency jump. Space still felt wrong, stretched, thin, like breathing through wet cloth. The crew sat in stunned quiet, staring at blank screens that refused to forget what they had seen. Captain Vexlar broke the silence first. Replay the last visual capture. Slow motion. Enhance hull details. Zira nodded without speaking. Her fingers moved mechanically. The main screen flickered back to life. There it was again. The unknown ship. Huge. Ugly. Patched together in a way that made every Coalition engineer on board feel physically ill. No elegant curves. No graceful sweep of alloy designed for both beauty and function. This thing rejected beauty entirely. It looked like someone had taken the wreckage of a dozen different vessels, old freighters, gutted warships, mining rigs, even pieces that might have come from long-lost probes, and hammered them into one angry shape. Weld lines glowed dull red where fresh repairs still cooled. Armor plates overlapped like mismatched scales on a diseased beast. Some sections were smooth Coalition titanium stolen from abandoned outposts. Others were rough asteroid iron, pitted in black. A few panels looked like they had been ripped from civilian transports, bright paint still clinging in angry streaks of yellow and blue. Guns everywhere. Not neat rows like a disciplined fleet. Random clusters. Spinal-mounted rail cannons longer than the scout ship itself. Broadside turrets that swiveled independently, each one different, some sleek and stolen, others crude tubes braced with girders. Missile racks hung like cancerous growths along the flanks. Point defense lasers dotted the hull in uneven patterns, like someone had slapped them on wherever there was space. The bow was the worst part. A blunt wedge of reinforced plating, scarred by thousands of impacts. No viewport cluster for a bridge, just a narrow slit protected by retractable shutters. Painted across it in massive white letters, still fresh enough to gleam. "We remember." The letters were not decorative. They were a scar. A brand. A promise carved into metal. Torque stared longest. The big lizard's tail twitched once. That thing shouldn't even fly. Too many mismatched masses. Center of gravity must be a nightmare. Krell answered without looking up from his damage readouts. It doesn't need to be pretty to kill. Look at the engine nozzles, dozens of them. Different sizes, different thrust vectors. They compensate with raw power. It's brute force engineering. No finesse. Just enough to move and enough to hurt. Lyra's wings folded tight. It looks angry. Like the ship itself hates existing. Vexlar said nothing at first. He studied every weld, every patch, every gun barrel. Then he spoke quietly. It was built by people who had nothing left but rage. The words hung. Zira pulled up a side-scan comparison. Old Coalition records of human vessels from 400 cycles ago, sleek destroyers, rounded colony ships, elegant exploration cruisers. Clean lines. Balanced design. Proud. Then the new image beside it. The difference was brutal. Where elegance failed them, they chose survival, Vexlar continued. When their world burned, they took what was left, scrap from their own ruins, debris from the battles that killed them, pieces of the galaxy that ignored them. They welded it together with hate and necessity. No committees. No design reviews. Just need. And anger. He pointed at a cluster of mismatched thrusters near the rear. See those? Salvaged from at least 6 different classes. Some Coalition. Some older human. They work because someone died making them work. Every plate tells a story of someone who refused to die quietly. The bridge stayed silent. The ugly ship had not chased them after the jump. It had simply let them go. Like a predator deciding the small creature was not worth the effort. Not yet. But the image remained burned into every retina. Zira spoke next. Soft. Captain. I ran a material analysis on the visible hull sections. Some of the plating dates back to the final human wars. Microscopic isotope traces match weapons-grade fallout from their own bombs. They kept pieces of their dead world. Used them as armor. Torque grunted. Symbolic. Or practical. Either way, terrifying. Vexlar leaned back in his chair. His antennae drooped slightly, not from fear, but from something heavier. They did not rebuild to look civilized again, he said. They rebuilt to remind. Every ugly angle. Every mismatched gun. Every scar on that hull is a message. We were broken. You broke us. Look what we made from the pieces. He stood slowly. Walked to the viewport. Stared into the recovering stars. They could have made beautiful ships. Hidden. Elegant. Pretended to be something else. Instead they chose truth. Raw. Ugly. Honest. He turned back to the crew. That ship is not a war machine. It is a monument. A floating accusation. And it works because it terrifies. Because it looks exactly like what 400 cycles of abandonment and survival look like. Krell spoke up. Power readings we caught before the jump, inconsistent. Spikes that shouldn't be possible with known tech. They improved everything. Took Coalition designs, human desperation, and whatever else they scavenged. Made something new. Something worse. Vexlar nodded once. Worse for us. The scout ship's engines hummed steadier now. Healing. Preparing for the long run home. But no one felt safe. Because out there in the dark they had just fled a patched-together monster waited. Not sleek. Not pretty. Just functional. Relentless. Forged from scrap. And rage. Zera's console beeped softly. A faint echo of the old signal reached them, even here distorted, distant, but still alive. This is Earth. If you hear this, run. No one laughed this time. The words felt different now. Not a warning. A description. Of what was coming. Vexlar looked at his crew one last time. Full burn for Coalition space, he ordered. And when we arrive, make sure every admiral sees that hole. Every scar. Every gun. Every word painted in white. He paused. Because if we forget again, next time they won't let anyone run. The engines roared. The scout ship fled. Behind it, somewhere in the reborn dark, the ugly ship turned slowly. Waiting. Remembering. Ready. The scout ship Harmony's edge hung motionless after the emergency jump stabilized. Engines ticked as they cooled. The bridge smelled of scorched wiring and fierce sweat. Every crew member stared at the forward viewport, half expecting the ugly shadow ship to reappear any second. But the stars looked normal again, sharp, distant, indifferent. Captain Vexlar exhaled slowly through his mandibles. Status. Krell answered first, voice hoarse. Jump drive on cooldown. We can't do another for at least 20 minutes without risking core meltdown. Hull integrity at 71%. We're leaking coolant in Section 4, but it's contained. Zera's ears twitched. No pursuit signatures. No active scans. They let us go. Torque snorted. For now. Before anyone could reply, the comm panel lit up. No incoming hail request. No polite chime. Just intrusion, raw, uninvited. Static hissed like dry leaves in wind. Then the voice. Rough. Human. Male. Tired in a way that made the word tired feel small. It spoke in perfect Coalition standard, every syllable clear, no trace of translator glitch. You found the signal. Good. Now leave. This is your only warning. The words landed flat. No anger. No triumph. Just fact. Like someone stating the time of day. Every crew member froze. Vexlar stepped forward. His long fingers hovered over the transmit key, then pressed it. This is Captain Vexlar of Coalition Scout Harmony's Edge. Identify yourself. A short pause. Not hesitation. Calculation. The voice returned. Same tone. Same calm. Identification is unnecessary. You already know what we are. You saw our world. You saw our ship. You read the words on our hull. That is enough. Vexlar's antennae rose. You are human. A low chuckle came through the speakers, dry, humorless. Very good, Captain. Points for observation. Zero whispered, how are they reaching us? We're light years out. That shouldn't be possible. The voice answered her even though she had not spoken aloud. Subspace relay net. We built it while your species slept. Tight beam through folded space. You are not as far away as you think. Torque growled. You're listening to us right now? Always, the voice said. We have been listening for a long time. Every coalition broadcast that crossed the zone. Every scout report. Every admiral's speech about the extinct Deathworlders. We heard it all. The comm crackled again. A faint background sound filtered through, distant machinery, voices murmuring in human tongues, the low thrum of engines that never slept. Vexlar felt the weight of those unseen eyes. Why the warning? Why not destroy us? Because destruction is easy, the human replied. And we are done with easy. We spent 400 cycles rebuilding from ash. Learning patience. Learning precision. We do not waste effort on small things. A pause. You are small, Captain. A scout. A messenger. Your death would mean nothing. But your words will carry further than any missile. Lyra's wings trembled. You want us to tell them? Exactly. The voice softened, just a fraction. Tell your council the truth. Not the polished archive version. Not the sanitized lecture. The real truth. Earth lives. Humanity lives. We rebuilt our cities under the glass. We purified our air with machines we invented in the dark. We raised children who never knew what a blue sky looked like until the day we tore the radiation shields down. And every day we taught them one thing above all others. The voice hardened again. We taught them to remember. Static swelled for a moment, then cleared. You will return home. You will deliver this message exactly as I give it to you. Word for word. No editing. No softening. If we detect any alteration, any attempt to bury this again, we will know. And the next ship that crosses our border will not receive a warning. It will receive consequences. Vexlar met the eyes of his crew. Pale faces. Wide eyes. No one moved. The human continued. Here is your message, Captain. Memorize it. A deep breath came through the comm, human lungs filling, human chest expanding. To the Coalition of Civilized Species. 400 cycles ago you declared us dead. You closed your archives. You drew your dead zone lines. You moved on. We did not. We survived the fire you ignored. We rebuilt in the silence you enforced. We grew stronger in the dark you created. Now the dark is ending. Our ships are ready. Our people are ready. Our patience is ending. Cross our line again, and you will learn why the galaxy once feared the children of Earth. This is not a threat. This is a fact. Leave us in peace. Or do not leave at all. The voice stopped. No dramatic flourish. No final laugh. Just silence. Then, quieter. You have your warning, Captain. Use it wisely. We will be listening. The comm cut clean. No static tail. No echo. Gone. The bridge stayed frozen for several long seconds. Zira broke it first. I recorded it. Clean audio. Full transcript. Triple encrypted backup. Vexlar nodded slowly. Good. He turned to the helm. Plot course for Coalition Central. Best speed. No detours. No stops. The engines hummed awake. The scout ship turned toward the bright core of civilized space. But no one felt relief. Because out in the black, a patched-together giant waited. Listening. Remembering. And counting down. Vexlar looked at the stars one last time. They no longer looked safe. They looked watched. Captain Vexlar felt heat rise in his thorax. The human voice had invaded their bridge again, uninvited, calm, final. It ordered them to leave like they were children caught in a forbidden garden. His mandibles clicked sharply. Pride, the old, sharp pride of the Clythar elite, flared brighter than fear. He leaned toward the comm pickup. His voice came out low, edged with venom. "Who are you to order us?" The words hung in the air. A challenge. A line drawn in vacuum. For 3 long heartbeats, silence answered. Then the human laughed. Not loud. Not mocking. Cold. Tired. The sound of someone who had laughed at worse things and found no joy left in it. It rolled through the speakers like gravel dragged across metal, slow, deliberate, endless. "We're the ones you thought were gone," the voice said when the laugh faded. "We're the ones who waited." Simple words. But they carried 400 cycles of silence behind them. Every syllable felt heavy, like it had been carried in someone's chest for generations. Vexlar's antennae flattened against his skull. He opened his mouth to retort, but the human spoke first. "You ask who we are? Look at your own history files. You'll find us listed under extinct. Under self-destructed primitive. Under cautionary tale for violent species. You wrote our obituary while we were still breathing underground. So let me refresh your memory." The voice dropped lower. Almost conversational. "We are the species that glassed half our own planet because we could not agree on who owned it. We are the ones who poisoned our air, boiled our oceans, and still kept building. We are the ones who looked at the ashes and said, 'Not yet.'" A short pause. Breathing, slow, measured, filled the calm. "We waited while your coalition rose. While your elegant ships sailed past our dead zone without looking down. While your scholars debated whether we deserved a footnote or erasure. We waited in tunnels lit by geothermal vents. We waited while our children were born pale and never saw real sunlight. We waited while we rebuilt reactors from scrap, purified water drop by drop, grew food under artificial suns. We waited 400 cycles." The laugh returned, shorter this time. Sharper. "In every cycle we told the same story to our young. One day they will come back. One day they will remember us. And when they do, we will be ready." Vexlar felt the bridge grow colder. His crew stared at the speakers like they were alive. Torque whispered, "They're insane." "No," Zira answered softly. "They're patient." The human continued. "So when your little scout crossed our line, we did not panic. We did not scramble. We simply turned on the beacon we built 3 centuries ago. The one that says, 'This is Earth. If you hear this, run.' We turned it on because we knew someone would eventually hear it. And we knew that someone would be arrogant enough to come closer." Vexlar snarled again, quieter this time. "You think fear will stop the coalition? We have fleets. Worlds. Alliances." The human cut him off. "Not angry. Just tired. Fear? We do not want your fear, Captain. We want your memory. We want every archive updated. Every history lecture rewritten. Every child taught the name Earth not as a dead rock, but as a place that refused to stay dead." A soft click, like a switch being thrown. "Now listen carefully. Because this part is important." The voice slowed. Each word deliberate. "We have waited long enough. Our patience is a finite resource. Like oxygen in a failing suit. Like food in a starving city. Like hope in a dying world. It runs out. Another breath. So here's your choice. Take our message home. Deliver it exactly. Let your council see the scans. Let them hear this conversation. Let them look at the ugly ship we built from your forgotten wrecks in our own rage. Let them decide what happens next." The tone shifted, almost gentle. "Or, do not. Bury it. Edit it. Call it a glitch. Call us ghosts. And when the next coalition vessel enters our space, when your pretty admirals send a battle group to investigate, we will not warn again. We will answer. With everything we built while waiting. Silence stretched. Thick. Heavy. Then the voice added one last thing. Quiet. Almost sad. We did not want this day to come, Captain. We wanted peace. We wanted to be left alone. But you came looking. So now you have found us. A faint sound, like fingers tapping metal. Goodbye, Captain Vexlar. Safe journey home. Tell them we said hello. The comm went dead. No static. No echo. Just gone. The bridge stayed frozen. Vexlar stared at the blank comm panel. His mandibles worked silently for a moment. Then he turned to Zira. Compile the full record. Audio. Visual. Sensor logs. My challenge. Their response. Everything. No edits. No summaries. Zira nodded. Her hands moved slowly. Torque broke the quiet. Captain, are we really going to? Yes, Vexlar said. We are going to deliver it. Word for word. Because if we do not, someone else will come looking. And next time, the warning will not be words. He looked out at the stars. They seemed colder now. Sharper. Helm. Course for Central Command. Maximum safe speed. The engines hummed awake. The scout ship turned away from the dead zone. Behind it, on a blue-green world that refused to die, lights burned steady. In underground command centers, screens showed the tiny scout fleeing. Humans watched. They did not cheer. They did not gloat. They simply waited. 400 cycles of waiting had taught them one thing above all. Waiting worked. And now the galaxy would learn it too. The scout ship Harmony's edge still trembled from the echo of the humans' cold, tired laugh. The comm channel had gone dead, but the weight of those words, "We're the ones who waited," pressed down on every soul aboard. Captain Vexlar stood rigid at the center of the bridge, antennae quivering. His crew watched him, waiting for the order to flee. Waiting for anything that felt like control. No order came. Because the stars outside the viewport changed first. A shadow bloomed again, faster this time, no slow approach. The massive human ship materialized from folded space like it had never left. One heartbeat it was gone. The next it filled half the sky, ugly and scarred, guns already glowing with hungry red light. Alarms did not have time to scream a polite warning. They exploded. Red alert. Weapons lock. Energy surge detected. The bridge plunged into crimson chaos. Every console flashed. Every voice shouted at once. Shields! Full power! Vexlar roared. Krell's 4 arms became blurs. Diverting everything. 90% to forward grid, wait, no, shields collapsing. Too late. A single beam lanced from the human ship's forward battery. Not a wide barrage. Not wasteful fireworks. One clean, surgical line of white-hot plasma. It struck the Harmony's edge like a needle through paper. The scout ship's shields, proud coalition technology, rated for sustained fire from battlecruisers, flared brilliant blue for half a second. Then dropped to 0. The number blinked on every screen, 0%. Sparks rained from overhead panels. Gravity stuttered. Crew members floated for a heartbeat before emergency straps snapped tight. Air hissed from microbreaches. The smell of burning circuits filled the bridge. Panic arrived like a living thing. Torque bellowed and slammed his fist against the weapons console. Guns offline. We can't even scratch them. Lyra's wings beat uselessly against her harness. They're charging again, multiple batteries lighting up. Zira clutched her station, first standing on end. Hull integrity falling, 20% breach in engineering. We're venting atmosphere. Krell shouted over the noise. core temperature spiking. If we don't vent plasma in 10 seconds we lose containment. Vexlar felt the ship die around him in slow motion. His mind raced through every protocol, every escape option, every desperate trick in the Coalition handbook. None of them fit. Because the human ship did not fire again. It simply waited. Loomed. Watched the scout ship bleed air and power like a wounded animal. The silence between shots was worse than the hit. Vexlar forced himself to stand straight. His voice cut through the panic like a blade. Quiet. The bridge froze. Even the alarms seemed to hush for a second. He walked, step by deliberate step, to the main viewport. Stared up at the monster that had just stripped their defenses in one casual stroke. The ugly ship hung there. No elegant glow. No dramatic spin. Just patient menace. Gun ports still open. Still hot. Still ready. Vexlar spoke to the empty air. To the enemy that listened without needing an open channel. You made your point. No answer at first. Then the human voice returned, same rough male tone from before. Calm. Almost bored. We made several points, Captain. You chose to ignore the first few. Vexlar's mandibles clicked. You could finish us now. Why drag it out? Because endings should mean something, the human replied. You came looking for ghosts. You found us instead. That deserves consideration. A short pause. Consider this your final lesson before you leave. The massive ship rotated slightly, just enough to bring a different battery cluster into view. Smaller guns. Precise. The kind built for surgical work, not annihilation. One of them brightened. Vexlar felt his crew flinch behind him. The beam came again. Not to the hull this time. To the comm array. A surgical cut. Clean. The external antennas sheared away in a shower of sparks and molten metal. Secondary explosions rippled along the spine of the scout ship. But the bridge stayed intact. The human voice spoke one last time, clearer now, because it no longer needed to fight through Coalition encryption. We could have taken your engines. Your life support. Your bridge. Instead we took your voice. You will limp home silent. No distress call. No warning to your fleet. Just you, carrying what you saw. What you felt. What one hit did to your invincible shields. The voice softened, just a fraction. Go home, Captain Vexlar. Tell them exactly what happened here. Tell them we did not need to kill you to prove our point. We only needed to show you how small you are. A final breath. And tell them the next time someone crosses our line, we will not be so polite. The connection vanished. The massive ship held position a moment longer, long enough for every crew member to memorize its shape, its scars, its guns, then it simply disappeared. Folded space swallowed it whole. Gone. Silence returned. Broken only by the hiss of leaking air and the soft beeps of failing systems. Vexlar turned slowly to face his crew. Faces pale. Eyes wide. Some crying quietly. Others staring at nothing. He spoke quietly. Stabilize what you can. Plot course for the nearest Coalition outpost. Manual navigation only, no comms, no beacons. We carry this home ourselves. Krell nodded numbly. We'll make it, barely. Vexlar looked back at the empty viewport. The stars looked different now. Smaller. Colder. And somewhere out there, in the dark they had dared to enter, a patched-together giant waited. Not angry. Not impatient. Just finished waiting. The scout ship limped away. Wounded. Silent. Carrying the truth no one wanted to hear. And the galaxy, shining, proud, civilized, had no idea what was coming next. The scout ship Harmony's edge drifted in stunned silence after the shields collapsed to zero. Red emergency lights painted every face in blood. Sparks still fell from cracked panels. Air recyclers labored to keep the thinning atmosphere breathable. No one moved. No one dared breathe too loudly. The massive human ship hung motionless outside the viewport, huge, ugly, patient. Its weapons remained hot. Ready. But it did not fire again. It waited. Then the human voice returned one final time. Not through the shattered comm array. Not through hacked speakers. It came straight into the bridge, clear, calm, impossibly present, as though the voice had always belonged there. "Tell your leaders," the man said slowly, each word measured like a judge passing sentence. "The children of Earth are awake." A short breath. Almost gentle. "And we remember everything." No anger in the tone. No triumph. Just quiet, terrible certainty. The sentence landed like the last stone dropped on a grave. Then, nothing. No dramatic countdown. No final insult. No explosion of rage. Just silence. Absolute. The ugly ship held position one heartbeat longer, long enough for every terrified eye on the bridge to memorize its shape, its scars, its promise. Then the screen went black. Not a slow fade. Not a flicker. Instant. Complete. Every display on the Harmony's edge, main viewer, tactical overlays, sensor readouts, damage reports, snapped to perfect, merciless black. At the exact same instant the scout ship exploded. There was no sound. Space has no air to carry screams. Outside the hull the ship simply came apart in perfect, soundless violence. A clean white sphere of plasma bloomed where the bridge had been. Secondary explosions rippled outward in slow, beautiful sequence, engineering, fuel cells, jump core, all of them blooming and dying in total silence. Inside that final moment of light, the last thing every crew member saw was the reflection of their own horrified faces against the suddenly black screens. Then nothing. The human ship watched the detonation for several long seconds, calm, unmoving, almost polite. Then it simply folded space around itself and vanished. Gone. As though it had never been there at all. Far away, light years distant, the blue-green world turned on. In underground command bunkers lit by soft amber light, screens showed the brief, perfect flower of the scout ship's death. No one cheered. No one laughed. A woman with gray in her hair and old burned scars across one cheek watched the feed until the light died completely. She spoke to the room without raising her voice. Message delivered. A man standing beside her, broad shoulders, eyes tired beyond his years, nodded once. "They'll tell the others." "They will," she answered. "And if they try to hide it, we'll know." She turned away from the screen. "Prepare the next beacon," she said quietly. Same message. Same words. Louder range. Wider band. Someone in the back answered softly. "Already begun, ma'am." She nodded. Above them, in the night sky of the rebuilt Earth, the stars looked down on cities that glowed again. On farms that grew green again. On children who had never known what it felt like to be afraid of the sky. Those children were sleeping now. Dreaming of a future that did not include hiding. And somewhere, deep in reinforced vaults carved into the planet's bones, old warheads waited beside new ones. Old ships beside new ones. Old anger beside new purpose. All of them patient. All of them remembering. The galaxy had forgotten humanity once. It would not get a second chance. Far beyond the dead zone, in the shining heart of Coalition space, a Priority 1 distress beacon would arrive in approximately 17 hours. No voice. No image. Just one automated line of text repeating endlessly. Coalition Scout Harmony's edge, lost. Last known location, dead zone. Final transmission fragment. The children of Earth are awake. And we remember everything. 17 hours from now, the first admirals would read that message. 17 hours from now, the first whispers would begin. 17 hours from now, the galaxy would learn that extinction is not always permanent. and that some graves are only temporary. In the perfect silence of deep space, where the scout ship had just become glowing debris, a single, faint signal continued to pulse. Soft. Steady. Unstoppable. This is Earth. If you hear this. The children of Earth had finished waiting. Now the galaxy would begin running.